From their surprising appearance in No Way Home to their future roles in the MCU, here's how Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield could return as Spider-Man again. The thing is, ever since No Way Home came out, there has been a lot of talk about whether the two actors will play their roles again in the MCU's multiverse movies, like in Avengers Secret Wars. But guess what? Tobey recently gave the strongest hint that he would be happy to play Peter Parker again if asked.
Basically, is this movie gonna be super stylized, campy, and those were not his plans, and he just kind of, told me, look, I want this stuff to be his, like, when Spider-Man's swinging around and stuff, that's like his ballet, and it is his alter.
Yeah, I'm not kidding about that. In 2002, Tobey Maguire was the first person to play Spider-Man on the big screen. For that reason alone, Maguire became the prototype for future Spider-Man movies. And since his last appearance in Spider-Man 3 in 2007, fans have been dying to see him back in the part. As for his return as the web slinger, the actor talked about a possible return to the series in a recent interview. According to him, he loves all of these movies and all of the Marvel shows. And if the executives at Marvel called him and asked him to show up to do a movie, read a scene, or even do a Spider-Man thing, well, his answer would be a big yes. And while a lot of fans also think that both will come back in Avengers Secret Wars, the latest trailer for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse hints that both Spider-Man might not have to wait until 2026 to do so again. But first, let's talk about how Avengers Secret Wars could bring back Maguire and Garfield's Spider-Man. Except for Avengers Endgame, where time travel made things a little more difficult. The plot of the Infinity Saga was pretty linear, but getting into the middle of the multiverse saga has turned out to be a very different playground, with doors open to many previously untouchable characters from other Marvel series, ready to be used by whoever the writers want. As a result, Maguire and Garfield are both back as Spider-Man. Patrick Stewart returned as Professor X in the Doctor Strange sequel, and Hugh Jackman is getting ready to play Wolverine again in Deadpool 3. And as we move further into the multiverse over the next few years, fans will definitely want to see more characters return by the time Avengers Secret Wars comes out. Now that's all for how the previous Spider-Man could return in the live-action MCU. As for their animated appearances, this is how the trailer for Across the Spider-Verse set up Maguire and Garfield's return. Well, the return of Maguire and Garfield is set up in the trailer in two different ways. Let me explain. The best example is the foreign version of the trailer, which starts with a line from each of the three actors who play Spider-Man in live-action movies. And if you didn't know already, reports have also said that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is set to make an appearance in Sony's animated feature film. But the fact that Maguire and Garfield's voices are used in the new trailer, this could be a sign that they will be a part of the movie's huge multiverse-spanning story. So what makes me so sure about that? Well, the events of No Way Home are clearly mentioned in the trailer by Miguel O'Hara's Spider-Man, when he name-dropped Doctor Strange and the little nerd from Earth 19999. And this makes me think that Maguire and Garfield's appearances in No Way Home could help connect the two movies. The marketing for the sequel has shown how many different kinds of Spider-Man will be in Miles Morales' next movie. On top of that, Sony is already making sure to make nods to the live-action Spider-Man. So that means Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming back, is even more likely now. But here's the thing. I have a hunch Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man is already in Across the Spider-Verse.
Toby, we became friends, and we snuck in to a theater in Los Angeles on the opening weekend, and we were just two, middle-aged white guys in baseball hats and masks, and we just kind of, absorbed them. It was, special things in the middle of a pandemic.
It was a quick shot in the trailer, and while it's important to remember that it doesn't prove Garfield is in the movie, the outfit could still be used without him. But still, Sony would want more than just an Easter egg. They would want a clear reference, something that would get fans talking. A cameo, on the other hand, would be a big deal because it would show that these Spider-Verse movies are in the same universe as Sony's live-action movies and the MCU. This would also make a small mistake in continuity continuity because technically it would mean that the MCU universe has two Earths named 616, but it's the kind of thing that only diehard fans would notice. On top of that, it would also make room for an appearance by Tom Holland. It's interesting that this Spider-Man is shown talking to a different version of himself who's wearing a black suit, which Spider-Man usually wears when he's going through a tough time. And I think Garfield's Spider-Man could be trying to help a brother Spider by talking to the black-clad version. You see, Andrew Garfield is a fan at heart, and every conversation shows how much he loves the character. He earned more than the Amazing Spider-Man movies, which ended quickly and didn't give him a chance to show what he could do. But this started to change with Spider-Man No Way Home, and in my opinion, his Spider-Man was the best in No Way Home. Now, all eyes are on Across the Spider-Verse, helping improve this version of the character even more. So I hope Sony will keep going in this direction. And this is why Across the Spider-Verse has to get Maguire and Garfield's cameos right. It's safe to say that there is a lot of excitement and some pressure on Sony to do one thing right, and cameos from the actors who play Spider-Man in the live-action movies, like Tom Holland, will have to find the right mix between being more than just fan service and not taking away from Miles' story. But the good news is that Sony has already shown they can do this with Spider-Man No Way Home, which brought back Maguire and Garfield to support Holland's Spider-Man story. And since it looks like Across the Spider-Verse is about Miles not wanting to leave his family to protect the multiverse with Spider-Man's 2099 Spidey team, Maguire, Garfield, and even Holland's Spider-Man could show up to help Miles on his multiversal trip. But depending on how the cameos are done, the audience could see animated versions of the live-action Spider-Man. A cartoon Miles could visit a live-action world, or Shamik Moore could play the first live-action Miles Morales. But whatever the case may be, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse needs to make sure that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's returns help Miles, not take attention away from him. Now, while I drool over the possibility of them returning for the animated movie, I think No Way Home may have set up Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4. It's safe to say that Maguire's return to the MCU gave few clues about what happened to him after Spider-Man 3, but it also showed that Peter and Mary Jane are still together and that Peter is still a hero. And since the end of No Way Home sent the other Spider-Men back to their own worlds, Maguire's Peter Parker is now in the right place to possibly get a new solo movie. And that's where Sam Raimi's long-lost Spider-Man 4 comes in.
I didn't think it was possible, but after jumping back in with the multiverse, I realized that just like Doctor Strange does, anything is possible now. So I'm completely open to it.
We all know how Raimi was supposed to direct a fourth movie starring Tobey Maguire. Still, because of different problems, the company canceled Spider-Man 4 in 2010 and went ahead with plans for a reboot. But even though it's been over a decade since the last movie in this series, there's still a little chance that Sony could make Spider-Man 4 to give Tobey Maguire a good send-off. And maybe, who knows, they could even introduce Miles Morales in a live-action version. With that being said, that's all from my end on how Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield could return as Spider-Man again.